all, and welcome to a showcase variation of Top Deck Fox. Now, for this episode, this might be the one that comes out either before or after the recent one I did about Standard 2022. Nevertheless, what happened today is the big showcase talking about what's happening currently this year in Magic and what's going to be happening next year. I thought it would be fun to go through the article, kind of like go through the cliff notes and such, and just kind of like talk about my first impressions and such after watching the stream and such, which, by the way, you can watch it on the YouTube channel if you want to, at your own recourse, and they also have a little bit of a summary here, but we're going to go through these individually. First of all, there's Secret Lair, Out of Time Super Drop. That one is just a bunch of variation of cards that were actually pretty cool. I'm not going to go into full detail on this, I'll probably go do that as a Twitter thread personally. But nevertheless, some of the reprints are actually really cool. I do kind of like the Planeswalker Old Border one. That one is, I will admit, maybe the templating is a little bit off, but besides that, I do love kind of the joke of that one. Also, the Kamigawa reprints in the brush style art is gorgeous. There was a lot of cool ones. Next, we all know that this was coming, Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Innistrad Crimson Vow. Apparently, spoiler season is going to be starting on September 2nd, so we'll see what shenanigans there are to there. Anyway, and they're going to be showing a little bit more later this week as well, so hopefully we can figure out more about our werewolf Flynns and all that stuff, so I'm excited. So we'll figure that more on September 2nd at 9 a.m., so stay tuned. Then Crimson Vow, as they pretty much said, it's going to be a vampire wedding, very elegant. We actually don't know who the groomsman is going to be for Olivia, but we have confirmed that Olivia is actually the one that's going to be married here, so who's the grooms to be? We'll figure out. One thing we did also learn is actually, there is also going to be a combined set of this, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We also learned about how they're going to do in-store play again, so essentially they're starting small scale, makes sense considering current events and all that, with actually starting back of store championships, which for those of you who are new to Magic and don't know what this is, basically the Catch-22 premise is like, from every kind of like little bit of a season, you have a store championship. Mostly it's based on like, each set has a store championship out of each set season, so to speak. And they're bringing one for this year and such, and it's actually really cool to see what they're providing for this one. So, for the store championships, you actually have the chance to get these promos. So if you're participating in it, you get the Arbor Elf promo. That's sweet. If you are top 8, you get the Collected Company with the really cool looking Amonkhet remastered, essentially, art. And if you win the tournament, you get a Wormcoil Engine, which... Wormcoil Engine, very, very nice. That is very nice to see. So, and also one neat little detail, apparently these promos are going to have foil etched of the store that they were participating in the store championship. So let's say you did like a Star City maybe store championship, maybe you go to Star City Games and such, it should have Star City etched on it. Or for example, like one of my local stores is Game Nut, and as well as going to Spanky's, yes, that's their name, it will have that game store etched on the card, which is going to be kind of sweet to see kind of like how that affects like the collector's market and such. So, interesting. They also mentioned that the new thing that they're going to be doing is Commander Party, which sounds like, to me, it sounds like Commander / cross with D&D in a sense, which is kind of funny because we're going to be talking about that in a minute, but it sounds like a case of them just essentially, you play Commander and you kind of like participate in the story, so... I'm really curious to see what the heck's going to go on with that. It should be interesting. Next up, new product coming out, which is the Pioneer Challenger decks. Pioneer is actually a pretty fun format from what I played and such, so the fact that they are bringing this to... essentially bringing this out so that people can actually play Pioneer and such as an introduction, and also having some really good decks, like Lotus Field Combo, very powerful Pioneer deck, Mono Red Bird, very popular, Azoria Spirits, Wars of Auras, all those are very well designed Pioneer decks, so the fact that they are bringing those out, as well as giving some access to some reprints, some chase cards within these, that's really, really nice to see. Like, you can find the deck lists online and such, but really, really nice to see this. Apparently they're also going to have a standard Challenger deck in the fall, Or maybe next year, we really don't know. We'll wait and see. Oh, here we go. With both standard Pioneer Challenger decks in hand, you'll be ready for Friday Night Magic beyond your local game store. Oh yeah, it's early 2022, so yeah. Next, Commander Collection Black. We know that this was coming, so we got the new Commander Collection. It is black, so we got some really cool reprints. The ones that they include here is Toxic Deluge, which, classic Commander staple card, as well as Phyrexian Arena, another classic Commander card. They also have Liliana in there. Like I said, I kind of have to go through these quick. I can't really go into full detail, but I think Commander Collection Green was a little bit better, but still there's some very cool staple cards within this collection. Very nice. I kind of still wish there was like a Demonic or maybe even a Fair Period Tutor, but I can also see them being a little bit cautious and not wanting to make this product overpriced if they put one of the more high-value tutors, so I can see the logic of them not doing that. Next up, coming next year, the Innistrad feature. The basic premise of this one is basically they're doing a custom draft set where it's going to include cards both from Midnight Hunt as well as Crimson Oath within a draft set. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see this because it's kind of like seems like an introduction or reintroduction back to kind of like how we had drafts in the past where we had like, for example, for people who don't know, like in the past, there were signs where essentially sets had multiple, kind of like, they had a cycle, and the cycle had multiple sets, like with the Khans blocks, that's what they were called. We had Khans, Fates Reforged, and then Dragon's Tarkir, and usually the draft set was essentially just taking those variety of packs, like maybe one of each set, and trying to draft into the archetype. So what it seems like they're doing here is these are going to be custom packs with cards from both sets, and you essentially draft that way, which should make the drafting experience a lot more interesting. Plus, apparently there's going to be some horror movie, kind of like exclusive promos in this, so at least that's what I'm getting a hunch with, the factor that they're saying, double feature, and it has like that little black and white classic, like a Universal's horror, kind of like a color palette kind of scenario. So, yeah, we're definitely going to have some shenanigans here. Should be fun. Now, we're going to go through all the 2022 releases. First of all, okay, wow, that was a mispronunciation. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Now, this is interesting. For those who don't know, Kamigawa was a past set that came out a long time ago. Like in the early 90s something, I'm having a brain fart. But essentially, we're going back to Kamigawa, and we're actually going back to Kamigawa in the future. So it's going to be kind of like a cyberpunk-ish kind of set, essentially. Should be interesting. I'm a little cautiously optimistic, though, because, well, there is some little bit of stereotypes and such in these type of aesthetics, so to speak, and there was the whole controversy with what happened with the Strixhaven story and such. That's a whole nother eggs. But it sounds like they are taking that to heart, and they're trying to be a lot more better with the story this time around. At least that's what we've been hearing. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll hope for the best, prepare for the worst, as the saying goes. Nevertheless, I'm excited. It is kind of cool to see this type of aesthetic, kind of like a neon, essentially. So, should be interesting new cards, and so I'm really excited. We'll see what we get from this set. Then we have Streets of New Capenna, which I was not suspecting this. So, for those who don't know what the Streets of New Capenna is, it's a new plane set, which I should have expected that we're going to get a new plane set, but the basic premise of Streets of New Capenna is that it is kind of the Mafia Magic the Gathering set, or more kind of like old-time Chicago noir set, essentially. So it's kind of like a new plane, basically New Capenna. There's apparently going to be 5 demon crime boss lords essentially in the set, each based on a colored shard, which I bet you it's shards this time around since we already had wedges in Ikoria, which I forgot about that. I forgot that Ikoria was technically a wedge set. I legit forgot about that. But yeah, we're probably going to get shards here. We're probably going to get the shard triomes as a prediction, but still, really cool to see this. And hey, Obnixilis is here, as well as Elspeth, apparently, as they said in the video. So why is Elspeth there? We'll wait and see. Apparently it has the special significance to Elspeth. Why? Time will tell, essentially. Next up, we also are getting Dominaria United next year, which this is really sweet. We're going back to Dominaria. I betcha, and I'm going to call this a hunch. I'm going to bet that this set is going to be kind of Dominaria themed, of course, but I bet you this is going to be what I like to call the core set in disguise that they've been doing. Like they did that with Adventures in the Forgotten Realms and such. So I bet you Dominaria United is going to be the equivalent of that set, where it's definitely going to include a lot of nostalgia, of course, but maybe it also will introduce like help to be beginner friendly and such. They probably won't go too complex on the sets and such, because it comes like theoretically around the time where we would usually get a core set, so I could be totally wrong though on that guess. That's just, call it a hunch. And then the one thing I was not suspecting whatsoever, we're getting the Brothers War. And for those who don't know what the Brothers War is, it's a famous event that happened within Magic the Gathering lore. Basically, two brothers fight out each other with giant mech robot armies. It's been constantly referenced in various Magic the Gathering cards. We're actually finally getting a set that's going to be talking about it and actually showing the view of people who have been participants as well as just kind of like been in the sidelines of this event. So it'll be very interesting to see that. It sounds like it's going to be an artifact-centric set, which makes sense, or at least I mean, I shouldn't say they said. It's... How would I phrase this? It feels like this is going to be an artifact-centric set. Whether or not it is, we'll wait and see, but, yeah. Urza and Mishra is going out on a war, so... we'll wait and see, kind of like, how this happens. But that's going to happen in the fourth quarter. Then, the one thing that surprised me, and I was legit... Pretty much, I was legit excited for this, but one of the new sets is Unfinity. This is, of course, a supplemental set. This is another part of the Uncycle, which for those who don't know, Unsets are essentially just goofball, silly sets. They're mostly there just to be kind of like a more comedic, casual take on Magic, make some funny pun cards, all that stuff. Like, there's some silly wordplay, silly art. Apparently, the thematics this time around is going to be a space carnival, which is really, really sweet. I love this. I love the Unsets. Unstable is still one of my favorite draft sets of all time. Unfinity sounds like it's going to be a blast. Plus, also, we got confirmed that they're going to have full art basic land with the science fiction themed, of course, like with all Unsets, but we're also getting shock lands in the space theme, so... And apparently they're going to have draft and collector booster packs. Huh, I did not realize that. Okay, that kind of makes sense if you're making space-themed Shocklands. They probably want to give you an opportunity to get a full extended art variation of it. That's weird. I don't know how I feel about collector booster unsets, honestly. Like, on one hand, extended art and some of my favorite uncards, that's sweet, but on the other hand... collector boosters on that is weird. Draft boosters makes perfect sense. This is a set that means to be draft. Collector boosters, though, is like... Huh. That's kind of one of those where I'm, like, a little bit, okay, I'll probably still pick one up because but still it is kind of one of those, moments. That's like a But still, unsets, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see. Dungeon and Dragons Battle for Baldur's Gate Commander Legends. So apparently we are getting another Commander Legends set. That's going to be our other supplemental set. And apparently it's based on kind of like, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, kind of like theme, D&D theme. For those who don't know, Commander Legends is a special drafting set format where the basic Catch-22 premise is you draft 2 cards from each 20-card pack, and you make a 60-card limited deck with a commander. So we're probably going to get a lot of legendary creatures, probably some that people were hoping that were from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. You can probably guess which ones I'm referring to. We're probably going to see those in this set, but we're also probably going to see a bunch of other popular characters within the Baldur's Gate that hasn't been in the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So, should be interesting. I'm definitely excited for it. Definitely going to be fun to do some shenanigans. Plus, also, we're going to get the Commander Legends style Foil Edge legendary creatures, which is sweet. Next up, Double Masters 2022. Look, I'll put... Okay, if they're reprinting Anamatu in that set, that'll be sweet. Don't get me wrong. But, I think my total opinion on Double Masters is it's complicated. On one hand, I do think it would be kind of a good set to give us reprints of some pretty powerful, like, high-cost cards and such. Being able to get those as reprints and even with alternate arts and such, that would be pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. These Double Master sets, as much as people kind of shrug, they do help out with the reprint market, so... Plus, I can see them wanting to do the 2022 pun. I get the pun there. I get why they wanted to do this. I get it. The only thing I'm just concerned about is, please, Wizards, do not do the $100 VIP packs like you did with the previous Double Masters. Please don't. Like, it sounds like they're only doing collector and draft boosters, which, okay. But please don't do the VIP ones. And I just legit hope that the collector boosters don't get, like, ridiculously expensive, like the $100 range. And it's like, oh, that's secretly the new VIP pack. You know, stuff like that. So, I'm a little cringy about it, not gonna lie. But on the other hand, I do also admit the aspect of this that's like, well, this will reprint some cards. It might be a fun draft format. Okay. Also coming next year is Jumpstart 2022. Great product. It's great that we have these introductory, kind of like custom limited, kind of like draft bot sets. Basically, for those who never played Jumpstart, basic premise, you get 2 packs. You open those packs, they each have a theme. Like, one of the themes they mentioned is Eldrazi, which, okay. But you take these themes, and one of them is also multi-headed. You take the themes, you shuffle them up into a singular deck, and go against someone else who did the same thing. These are great introductory products and such, and it sounds like they're going to have a lot of new cards in it, each new card in each pack. Plus, also, it seems like the twist on this one for Boost to Fun is there's going to be some of the cards that have anime art, apparently, so we'll wait and see about that. Next up, we're going to get to the Universes Beyond, which this one's going to be quick because we didn't really get that much beyond it, but for those who don't know, Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, the basic Catch-22 premise with Universes Beyond is that these are going to be Magic the Gathering products that are outside of the Magic the Gathering lore and brand. They're kind of like the Walking Dead theme, which I know a lot of people are going to be raising their head at for a minute, but remember that they did say that if they ever do this, and they have, like, popular cards that do essentially get this Universe Beyond treatment, that there will be a supplemental reprint of it within kind of like the Magic Gathering, kind of like lore aesthetic, 6 months to 8 months down later the line. Keep that in mind. Okay. So that we get that out of the way, let's talk about them real quick. First of all, they're doing one for Warhammer 40,000, or 40k. Not my thing. I know a few people who are into the 40k franchise and such, so it'll be kind of interesting to see their take on this. Personally, not my thing. But it is nice that they're giving this option for people who are into this brand and such, and giving them an option to have some fun, like, Warhammer-style reprints and powerful new cards and such. Next up, Lord of the Rings, Tale of Middle-earth. Before I forget, these are going to be specifically Commander decks for the Warhammer ones, so only will be legal within Eternal formats. Just keep that in mind. Next up, though, the reason why I wanted to make that distinction is because with the Lord of the Rings, Tale of Middle-earth, it's going to be a little bit different. It is going to be a draft set, apparently, and apparently this set is going to be modern and historic legal on Arena, so you could actually play with some Lord of the Rings cards on historic on Arena. So this is going to be interesting. I know a lot of people who are a fan of Lord of the Rings, so maybe this is a nice introductory set to its stint, to allow people to play on the Arena client and such, and maybe play like a fun brawl deck around Gandalf, stuff like that. So, should be interesting to see how this turns out. Personally, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan of them all, but I know some people who are, and they are probably going to have some fun when this set comes out. Next up, there's also some new secret layers in the Universe Beyond, and one of them first is Fortnite. Okay, this is probably the one that made me cringe. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of the cringiest ones. I will say, though. And one that I actually saw on Twitter, and I wish I even know the person who said it, but here's the thing that you gotta keep in mind with the Fortnite. I'm not a fan of Fortnite. But there are a lot of people who are a fan of Fortnite. Mostly younger kids and such. And if this is a way for a parent who plays Magic to bond with their kids by just playing with, like, Fortnite-centric cards, okay. Okay, fair enough. Like, it's weird that they have to go through the whole method of buying it through a Secret Lair, going through the Secret Lair store and all that. But if a parent wants to play with their kid with Magic the Gathering, and they want, like, some Fortnite aesthetics, and then for the collectors who connect Fortnite stuff, okay, and if we get, like, a saucy reprint, okay. Like, it's cringy, but it's not my thing. It's cringy to me, it's just because it's not my thing. But to some people, it is their thing. Though I will admit, it will be kind of interesting to see if it's going role reversal, essentially, and then, like, we're going to get, like, I don't know, genre and Fortnite or some shtick like that. Or probably due to the fact of Netflix probably getting in our Jace or some shtick like that. We'll wait and see. That's the one I am kind of excited for, and I'm going to find this kind of funny. It's kind of funny how they kind of went from, essentially, with these promotions, they're like, okay, here's the Secret Lair from the new video game that might make you cringe, but here's the one for the video game that's the nostalgic video game that a lot of people who played this game in the past are probably going to enjoy, and probably the ones who were cringing at Fortnite. So, Street Fighter Secret Lair. They essentially said that they're going to make one of those. One of the characters in it is going to be Chun-Li. Failure. And as they said as the joke, yes, Chun-Li has multi-kicker on her card. That is great. That's fun flavor win there. So it'll be fun to see all the ones that they're going to have. And as they stated before, they will essentially mechanically unique cards in the upcoming Secret Lair drops, but you'll also be able to pick up in-universe versions in future releases, including as part of the list and set boosters. So then, next we just talked about some arena stuff, about basically rotation, also about the fact that we do have that they're going to be trying to polish up their stuff, talked about the multiple people who play the game, and then they also just talked about essentially what's going to be coming through, also the new products and stuff, and the fact of the renewal egg, essentially, as they always have. They also talk about how there's going to be 100 card historic deck brawl, very nice. I was a little bit... And also, they did mention the Arena Open is going to be a draft Arena Open, which is sweet. I was still kind of hoping that they had more kind of like quality of life improvement updates that they were going to show off here, but I could also understand if due to time they weren't able to do that, but I hope there's more quality of life updates for Arena. Next up, Jumpstart Historic Horizons. We talked about this a little bit on a previous video. We don't really need to talk much about it, but it's coming this Thursday, I believe. Then the last announcement, other than the Boom, kind of like the Boom Comics Netflix, or Boom Comics Magic the Gathering comic, they're also talking about how it's coming to Netflix. So, and apparently they talked about details how Brandon Routh, which for people who don't know, that's Superman, apparently is going to voice Gideon within the new Netflix series. That's very interesting. It'll be kind of fun to watch that. Though I will say the only awkward thing about this is, well, I kind of joked about this on a forum when I was talking about it. It's like, it's going to be interesting to see how many new people essentially are going to come in through Magic, through the Netflix show. And they're like, oh, Gideon was such a cool voice actor, cool character, loved seeing his story. And then it's going to be weird to be the awkward person to be like, you might not want to catch up with the rest of the lore currently, because Gideon, as we know at the moment, is, well, dead. So, it's going to be kind of one of those interesting, kind of scenarios. Kind of like, going to be interesting to see that kind of social interaction within game communities for people who are coming into Magic through the Netflix series. So, that's kind of like my top deck thoughts of all the stuff that happened during the showcase. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any excitement that you're excited for? I hope you all have a lovely day. As they say, hip hip hooray.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.